afternoon, Mikel.
Hello.
First of all, how is Lacazette? Is he okay and COVID-free? And Tomiyasu, any progress update on him? Will he be available for the game?
When Laka, we are assessing him today to see if he's available with the team. Obviously, as you all know, he had COVID, so he's been away for a few days. So just try to get his feeling and where he's at, and if he could contribute somehow with the team.
And Tomiyasu?
And Tommy is very, very close. Whether this game is going to be too early for him or not, again, we'll decide it today after the training session.
3 defeats in a row. How difficult have the last few days been, and how big a response might you expect against Chelsea?
Very difficult, because at this club is only about winning. And there were 3 very different games, but with the same outcome. And we are extremely unsatisfied with that. We know that we are hurting, but at the same time we know how we've lost them, and what we merit in those games. It doesn't reflect the amount of points that we have taken, but we have to understand why that happened as well. But there is nothing to look back. Everything is still to play for. Our ambition is still intact. Our desire is still intact, and we know the challenge ahead, and we're going to go for it.
When you say understand why, I think after the game you said that you were trying to find the right answer. Are you closer to knowing why?
I'm very close. Our efficiency in front of goals and what the teams have produced in our own box with the amount of chances they have created, there is no relationship there at all. So we have expected to win all the matches, and we had periods that we have to be very critical with ourselves, because we haven't had good periods, especially in the first half against Palace and the first 20-30 minutes against Brighton. But for the rest, I think the team has produced more than enough to get a completely different outcome of the match. So it's down to us. That's a good thing.
Just one more from me, because we're going to chat downstairs. Alexander Lacazette gave an interview to Canal Plus where he talked about having spoken to other clubs and his desperation to play in the Champions League. What did you make of what he had to say? He's quite open about leaving himself or looking at those other options.
Well, his contract situation allows him to make the decision about his future. We have expressed clearly what our intention is to speak in the summer, once we know where we are, about what we're going to do in the future together. And for the rest, I just want him fully focused on his duty, which is now defend Arsenal the best possible way, like he's done all the time he's been with us. And that's why he's been wearing the armband of this football club. So that's a big reason.
Can you be fully focused when there is that much talk going on, and he is talking to other clubs about where?
Well, the contracts start and end with the expiry date that you have agreed on, that day that you put the pen down, and then you have to be consequent with that. And that's the reality of the contract that he has, and the commitment and the duty that he has with the football club.
Vescoli from the Premier League.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Have you done anything differently in training or spoken to your players in particular just to try and lift their spirits in the last couple of days?
Very clear with them. Be clear on what, why we have lost the games, and then give them more than ever support, confidence, and stay behind them, because it's what they need. And what we are going to need all together from here to the end of the season. So when things go well, it's easy. It's all about we, but when things they don't go that well, maybe it's about him, and I hate that, and I'm the first one to try to apply myself to do that. So defend our players, protect them, and let them be who they've been, because they've been pretty good, to be fair.
And you spoke earlier on in the season about how your players were handling really well, the expectations on them in terms of the top 4 race. How do you ensure that they don't now start to feel the pressure ahead of what is a big win?
Because this game is about putting the ball in the back of the nets. And at the end of the last weekend, with the results that we had in front of us, if we would have won the game, which you have to, with what the team produced, again, you are having a completely different story here today. And I'm sorry, but I cannot allow myself to analyze things like that. I have to look forward and in a broader picture and be more reflected.
And Tuchel, he's been speaking a couple of minutes ago. He said he wants his side to play a physical match tomorrow night. What kind of performance do you want to see from your team? What kind of contest are you expecting as well?
We have to be at our best against the best team in Europe that shown last year what they can do with the ability that they have and with the ability that we have as well. And we're going to go there as always to win the match, and that's going to be our intention tomorrow when we stand for Bridge.
Go to Mark from PA.
I'm Kel. Is this, given the results you've had and the 2 games you've got coming up this week, is it arguably the biggest week you've had since you became manager here?
Yeah, we have some big weeks to be fair, but always the next one is the most important one. So if you ask me the question, it is tomorrow the most important game that I had since I've been the manager here.
Just going back on Alex Lacazette's interview, were you aware that he'd already started speaking to other clubs, or did that come as a surprise to you?
Well, he doesn't need to tell me what he does in his own life, but he has, and we discussed that he's entitled to do that. And then he has the duty to do his best here.
I know your plans were always to talk to him at the end of the season. Is there a worry now that Arsenal might have missed the boat if he's already talking to other clubs?
But it's the agreement that we made with him that was our position, and our position remains the same, and this is what we are going to do. And the risk of that happening is always there in the moment that we made that decision, and then it's up to him, because this is not about us or him, it's about both parties.
And then Eddie Nketia has also spoken today about being frustrated at his lack of opportunities. He played on Saturday. Do you expect him to play again tomorrow night?
And he's right to be upset, and this is what we want from the players, that they haven't had the minutes, and especially Eddie, because if there is a player in that dressing room that deserved more chances, that was for sure Eddie.
Thanks, Mark. James from ESPN.
Just on Laka, is the reason that you want to talk to him at the end of the season because it all depends on what European competition you qualify for?
First of all, it's not about me, it's about we as a club, the decisions that we made with individual, with the collectives, with the future, and how we plan things. And we made that decision to understand better and have a clearer picture of what we want to do in the summer. And that's what we decided.
But is it related to European competition, or is it a budgetary issue? It's just unusual to let a player...
I cannot go into any detail, but there are a few things there.
And I guess, as you say with Nketia, it's a bit of a balancing act, because again in that interview he's talking about the lack of game time, but he's not first choice here. Do you feel under a bit more pressure maybe to play him because he's out of contract in the summer?
About Eddie?
Yeah.
It's not about pressure to play him, it's trying to put a team there that can win football matches, and you believe that has the best possible chance to win it, and then just pick the players regardless of the situation. And we could have acted for a completely different approach and play them even less, or don't give them any opportunity, don't put them in the squad. We have treated every player with the duty that we have. They are our players, we want to get the best out of them. With Eddie, I said many times as well how much I rate him, that the fact that we had big plans for him in this club for the future, and this is where we are today, and we have to accept that reality.
And just finally, for me, just generally, what difference will Champions League or no Champions League make to your transfer plan this summer?
Well, Champions League brings first of all the club much closer to where we want, and to play in the competition that has a huge history relation to our club. And secondly, obviously improves every situation with the sponsor, financially, expectations, the capacity to grow our players and expose them into a different dimension of a competition, and this is what we want to be. So it's a game changer. The Champions League puts you there with the best teams in Europe, and we definitely want to be there.
Over to Josh.
There was sad news coming out of the club this weekend with former Chief Scout Steve Rowley passing away. Just wanted to know your memories of the man.
Well, I knew him very well, and we had some great moments. He was a big part of this club, and how he helped Arsene and Arsenal to develop the teams that they built in the past. So it's some really sad news. Send our love from the club and in my behalf to the family, and hopefully he can rest in peace.
And finally, for the broadcast section, Rodrigo from Hayters.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
I would like to ask you about Marcelo Flores. He was in the bench against Crystal Palace. Can you tell me a little bit about his development with the club, and can we see him maybe playing in the Premier League this
It was
year?
great to have him around. We have the chance to bring him in the squad. He's been training with us regularly through the season. I think he's developing really well. He's doing well under 23s, and it's great to see them closely and for them to start to have some good experiences on match days with the first team, because it's how they start to understand what it takes to be a professional player, the pressure around it, and start to live those moments is key.